I'm Hannah Wallace and welcome to FinextraTV. Kindly calling into our virtual studio today is Andrew Reeves, Head of Temenos Cloud. So welcome Andrew, it's good to have you on.
Hi Hannah, nice to be here, thanks.
Really good to have you on. So yes, today we're delving into the relationship between banks and the cloud, aren't we? So we've seen significant changes in the relationship, but going back a bit, banks have often been accused of being rather slow to embrace cloud technologies. So what's your view here? Do you think we finally have reached the tipping point? Let's start there.
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think, we've been involved as Temenos in the cloud business for 10 years now, offering cloud SaaS-based services. And the original dialogue was very much around, banks using cloud for peripheral systems, for CRM, for HR, etc. But that conversation's really started to change, probably the last 2 to 3 years, and it's now much more around how can banks leverage cloud, those capabilities of hyperscale, security, resilience, elasticity, to really modernize some of the core aspects of their ecosystem, to replace legacy systems, to modernize, to be able to reach those sort of digital needs that their consumers are now looking for. So very much a change. If you look at the RFPs that we receive from banks, the majority of them now are asking about cloud, about our capabilities, about how we can help the banks on their journey to meet their business needs. So yeah, very much a change in conversation.
All right, thanks for setting the scene for us, Andrew. And now there's no doubt the past year has been like no other, with the pandemic having a huge impact on all aspects of the industry, but homing in on the cloud. How do you think the experiences with COVID have changed the way banks think about the cloud? What about that?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously has been a massively difficult year. And, for those banks that have had bricks and mortar type channels as one of the main ways that they interact with their customers, it's been a massive impact. You can no longer open branches, you can no longer welcome those customers into that environment. So I think what it's done is it's, as customers have then gone through alternative digital channels, it's sort of highlighted where there's potentially some gaps where, the banks haven't quite got what they need to be able to service customers in that way. So yeah, I think it's helping banks realize what they need to do. It's again highlighting the need to modernize their platforms, their architectures and their services so they can meet that changing need.
Yeah, the need to modernise is very apparent, isn't it? And we've seen there are multiple ways that banks can utilise cloud technology, haven't we? So from private, public, multi-cloud, hybrid cloud to software as a service. What then do you think are the factors influencing banks' cloud strategies moving forward then?
Yeah, I think it's a journey depending on, where the banks want to go. The journey starts with utilizing cloud technology, with utilizing infrastructure and platform as a service capabilities and virtualization, etc., to start to be able to get some of those benefits. And I think banks, traditionally private cloud was very much the way in which they were doing that. There is a move towards utilizing public cloud, the hyperscalers in particular. Obviously the massive investment they put into their platforms, etc., is something that banks struggle to do themselves. So I think we're starting to see that shift towards public cloud. That in turn is starting to drive some regulatory changes. So we're starting to see regulators providing more guidance around how they can manage the risks around supply chain. So certainly where they're seeing potentially a concentration risk on a particular provider, they want to protect the overall banking system within their region. So we're starting to see cloud provider resilience coming in more and more as a topic. I think then you move into software as a service, and that's really where they can optimize the value. So all of the complexities of which particular infrastructure or platform services to take and that cloud resilience start to be dealt with by the supplier. But more than that, you start to get those extra value added services around just the software. It's the as a service element that's just as important. And the reason we've launched the Temenos Banking Cloud platform, which is our next evolution of our SaaS offering, is to really provide that additional business value, where the bank's looking to innovate on sandboxes, whether they're looking to take from our very rich set of banking services, or whether they want to start leveraging fintech marketplace providers to be able to connect into the wider banking ecosystem. So SaaS, I think, gives the optimum business value, and we're seeing banks achieving operational costs at 10% of what they have when they were running sort of legacy systems. So that's sort of the optimal value type.
Quite right. Watch this space, I think it's safe to say. Andrew, thank you so much for calling in and sharing your insights. Looking forward to catching up further down the line and reflecting on what we've covered today. But we'll leave it there for now. So thank you very much.
That's great. Thanks, Hannah.